Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're jumping right in today, unpacking some really thought-provoking materials from Brianna Wiest's book, 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think.
That's right. A fascinating read.
Specifically, we're diving deep into Chapter 28. It's got this powerful title, 16 Questions That Will Show You Who You Are and What You're Meant to Do. Now, the core idea here, the thing this chapter presents, is that understanding ourselves isn't really about discovering something totally new.
No, not exactly.
It's more like remembering what's already true within us.
Exactly. The author suggests that any good system for, psychological guidance, whether it's spiritual, philosophical, whatever,
Yeah.
it works best not by telling you what to think.
Right, not imposing a mindset.
Precisely. But by giving you the tools to look inward. The goal is really to help you find your own answers. Through asking questions, reflecting, and this process, she argues, it connects you back to your inner guidance.
Your intuition.
Your intuition, yeah, that essential self.
And the author makes a pretty bold claim right off the bat. She says these questions have literally changed the course of her life.
That's a strong statement.
It really is. So our mission today is to unpack this. What is this idea of remembrance versus discovery? How do these specific questions work as tools for that?
And what makes them potentially so powerful?
Exactly. Let's dive in. So the chapter kicks off with this really compelling premise. Self-understanding isn't like a treasure hunt for something hidden out there.
Not external.
No,
Yeah.
It's more like remembering something you've kind of always known, maybe subconsciously, but haven't really acknowledged.
Yeah, she describes how these realizations often hit when we suddenly see a pattern emerging from what just seemed like, a laundry list of examples, isolated moments, meaningless experiences and random relationships, all that stuff.
Right, like disconnected dots suddenly forming a picture.
Exactly. All those bits and pieces, they compile over time and suddenly reveal an existing truth about you or how you operate. And becoming conscious of that truth, recognizing the pattern that was already laid out, that's what she calls the real work.
Okay, so the questions are the spark, the catalyst for seeing that pattern.
That seems to be the idea. As the source puts it, good guidance systems, they pose questions, give examples, have you reflect, and through that recognition, connect to your inner guidance system, your intuition, and your essential self.
So when she says inner guidance or essential self, she means that core part of you, your deep values, your gut feelings, separate from, like, what society tells you.
I think that's a good way to put it, distinct from external pressures or just learned habits.
So these 16 questions, they're not just random prompts for a journal, then?
No, they seem quite deliberate, designed to help you sift through that laundry list of your life experiences and start seeing those patterns compile, prompting that moment of remembrance.
Okay, let's look at how they work. Maybe instead of just listing them one by one, we could group them, like based on the kinds of patterns they seem designed to uncover.
Good idea. Some definitely seem focused on core values, right? Convictions, often revealed when things get tough or when you imagine no one's judging you.
Yeah, like question 1, what and who is worth suffering for? That hits hard right away.
It does. Putting suffering up front forces you to think about what really matters when it's difficult, not just when it's convenient.
Strips away the surface stuff.
Yeah, it gets to your deepest commitments. Answering that honestly could really surface values you live by, maybe without even realizing it, especially when it's painful. It highlights a pattern of prioritization.
Right. So it's not about finding a new value. It's about remembering what you've consistently shown you value because you were willing to struggle for it.
Makes sense. And then questions 2 and 3 build on that, don't they? Moving from standing for something to actually doing something.
What would you stand for if you knew that nobody would judge you?
And then, what would you do if you knew that nobody would judge you?
That lack of judgment is key.
It really is. I mean, think about how much external judgment shapes our behavior. Taking that away, hypothetically, helps you remember or maybe recognize for the first time what convictions or actions are truly yours.
Independent of what others think.
Exactly. It reveals those patterns of authenticity that might usually be hidden, by fear of what people will say.
Okay, so that's one cluster, values and authenticity. Then there's another group, it seems, focused more on, like, our actual lived reality.
Yeah, habits, routines, even our stuff.
Right. These reveal patterns about how we're actually living day to day, which, let's be honest, might be pretty different from how we think we are or want to be.
Oh, absolutely. Think about question 4. Based on your daily routines, where will you be in 5 years? 10? 20?
Oof. That one's direct.
Brutal, almost, in its simplicity. It's not asking about your dreams for the future.
No, it's asking you to look at the trajectory you're already on, based on current patterns.
It forces you to remember, or maybe just confront, the predictable outcome of your existing daily choices. It connects present patterns to future reality.
And questions 12 and 13 really hammer this home, I think. Number 12 asks, what are the 5 most common things in your daily routine, aside from the basics, like eating, sleeping?
Right, the non-essentials you choose to do repeatedly.
And then right after, number 13, what do you wish those 5 most common things were instead?
That contrast is powerful. Question 12 gets you to list the cold, hard facts of your routine, the patterns of how you actually spend your discretionary time.
And 13 immediately highlights what your inner self, that essential self she talks about, wishes those patterns looked like.
Yeah, the gap between those two answers, that's a clear pattern of misalignment, isn't it? Between your current life and maybe your deeper desires.
Which the author might say is a kind of forgetting of what you truly want or need.
Exactly. Or look at question 15, bringing it right into your physical space. If you were to walk through your home and put your hand on every single thing you own, how many of them would make you sincerely feel happy or at peace?
That's so concrete.
Very tangible. And then the follow-up. Why do you keep the rest?
That why is the kicker.
It forces you to look at the patterns in your possessions, yes, but also the reasons behind them. Why do we hold on to things that don't bring us joy or peace?
What deeper truths does that pattern reveal? About security, maybe, or the past, or fear of scarcity?
It helps you remember, or perhaps uncover, your true relationship with the material world beyond just the surface level.
Okay, so we have values, habits, material life. What else? There are questions about relationships and struggles too, right?
Definitely. Another theme seems to be tapping into relationships, past challenges, and how you see others and yourself. These help remember emotional patterns, self-perception patterns.
Question 7 feels like a good example of resilience. What are a few things you thought you would never get over while you were going through them? Why do they seem so insurmountable? How did you...
That question makes you revisit tough times, but crucially, it asks you to remember how you got through them.
Right, the how.
Yeah, it helps you recognize patterns of strength or coping mechanisms that were maybe always there inside you, even when you felt completely lost or overwhelmed. Remembering your own resilience.
That's powerful. And question 10 goes into past relationships. Who from your past are you still trying to earn the acceptance of?
Ooh, that's a deep one.
Yeah, it gets at those lingering emotional patterns, doesn't it?
Yeah.
By identifying who you might still be seeking approval from, you can start to remember or realize how those old dynamics might still be pulling strings now.
Affecting your behavior, your self-worth, maybe totally unconsciously.
And then there's the big one, question 16. It feels like a real dive into projection and self-awareness.
It does. What bothers you most about other people? What do you love most in other people? And then the mirror image. What bothers you most about yourself? What do you love most about yourself?
And that critical instruction at the end, dig until you see the correlation.
That's the key. Dig until you see the correlation. This question is super powerful because it directly addresses patterns of projection. You know, how the things we react strongly to in others, both positive and negative, often mirror something within ourselves, something unresolved or maybe unacknowledged.
So by comparing your external reactions to your internal feelings about yourself,
You can start to remember or become conscious of truths about your own insecurities or your own values or desires, things you might have sort of forgotten or pushed down.
okay, so the power of these questions then, according to the source, it really lies in how they don't just give you answers.
No, they're more like probes, tools.
Yeah, tools that make you look at the actual data points of your life.
Yeah.
Your actions, reactions, routines, relationships, your history.
The raw data, exactly. And by looking closely at that data, you start to see the connections, the lines between the dots, the patterns that maybe have been there the whole time.
And that's the moment of recognition, the remembrance she talks about.
That seems to be it. It's not really new information hitting you from the outside. It's becoming conscious of the truth that was already compiled, already latent within your own life story.
Which explains how the author can claim they were literally life-changing. It's not magic, it's a mechanism.
Right. A mechanism using targeted questions to reveal these existing patterns, prompting a conscious recognition, that aha moment about underlying truths.
And that recognition can fundamentally shift your perspective, right, on what you do next.
Absolutely. And it connects you back to that inner guidance, that intuition she emphasizes.
So that inner guidance system, your essential self, You access it not by searching outside, but by clearing away the noise.
And recognizing the patterns of who you already are, as revealed by how you've actually lived, reacted, chosen, suffered, loved, all of it.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, we've taken a pretty deep dive into this chapter and these 16 questions.
We have, and that core premise is quite compelling. Self-understanding as remembering, not discovering, seeing the truth already present in the patterns of your life.
And the questions are presented as these key tools for that process, helping you, the listener, uncover your patterns.
In your experiences, habits, relationships, reactions, leading hopefully to that conscious recognition of your existing truth, connecting you to that inner guidance.
And it's clear, engaging honestly with these, it's not a quick fix, not a 5-minute quiz.
Definitely not. It requires real introspection, doesn't it? A willingness to look back honestly and examine the actual facts of your life.
Not just the story you might prefer to tell yourself about it.
Consider maybe just taking one or two of these questions that resonated. Spend some real time with them. You might find that process of seeing the patterns, that moment of remembering, reveals something really fundamental about who you are.
Yeah, and what truly matters to you.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean in the end? Maybe those profound truths about who you are, what you're meant to do, maybe they aren't these big hidden mysteries out there.
Maybe they're closer than we think.
Yeah. Maybe they're just waiting inside for you to ask the right questions and simply remember what's been there all along.
Definitely something for you to mull over.
That wraps up this deep dive. We really hope this exploration has given you a valuable framework and maybe some powerful questions for your own journey of self-understanding.